As a moderator tonight, I have no dog in anybody's fight. I just want to have a civil meeting, a good meeting where you can say some things and we get some of the feedback that we actually really need. So let me take a couple minutes and set the stage, and then I'll turn it over to George Otta to say a few words, and then we'll get moving. So I know for the last 2 years, a group of people, a lot of technical people, farmers, planners, all kinds of people have been around the table, and they've been working pretty hard to try and develop a way, a means, a set of criteria for vetting which are the good, better, best, worst ag lands, with an eye towards preserving. That is the mission. It's right down there. Identify high-quality farmlands. That's been the mission of this effort. And we need your feedback on that. I know that most of you, if not all of you, came here tonight because you want to address the whole Hopili question. Am I right? Right. So what I want to do, I talked with County about this just before the meeting. And what I'd like to do is just go through the preliminaries. And we have a briefing later on that will take, I don't know, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And then we have some questions for you. Before we do all that, County Meyer, you tell me if I got it wrong. So that what we're going to do is take at least a half hour and have you have a chance to make your statements about Hopili, which is not the primary focus of our meeting, even though you might want it to be. I know you might want it to be. And you may say, I don't care about all the other lands. We care about those. And I think you do too, actually. So there's things we need to learn from you. We want to hear what you have to say. We're going to capture that in a summary of the meeting. We're not taking everybody's individual names and, you know, Keone said this and Donna said that, Curtis said this, Curtis not going to say that. So we're not going to. So we're not going to do that. But what we do want to do is make sure that we have captured in the summary record of the meeting the fact that you were here. Now, I just want to, how many people do we have in the room? 40? About 40. About 40. How many of you came here only to talk about Hopili? Only to talk about it. Did anybody come here with interest in the other ag lands? Okay. So really important that we have that. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But I know you want to make your statement, so we're going to do that. And I presume what you're going to do when we open it up for that is be very brief, go right to the heart of the comments that you want to make so that we can capture it in the records of our meetings. And then later on we'll do the briefing, and then we're going to ask you some questions, so because we need feedback on 2 years of work that has been going on. And as you will hear from Scott, who's going to do the briefing, that there are reasons why Hopili is not hasn't been part of that discussion. Hold that conversation. I know it's how important it is to you, but there's some other pieces of this that you will need to know. So let me introduce George. George, if you would say a few comments, and then we're going to open it up for the discussion.
Well, yeah, I'm George Otta. I'm the Director of Planning and Permitting. This important ag lands bill and process is under my department, and so that's why I'm here. But actually, when the mayor appointed me, I did tell him that finalizing the mapping for IAL would be one of the important priorities that I was hoping to accomplish within the first 4 years. So it is something that I personally told the mayor was important to me. And so I thank you all for coming, because I know in the middle of a work week that it takes a lot of effort and commitment to come up. And the other thing, and I think my staff knows this, that I'm very concerned about the nature of the status of our democracy, and citizen participation is a big part of it. And so when I see citizen participation, it's always a sign that hopefully our democracy has some future in it. And so with that, I just want to reiterate that this is a very important issue. Important ag lands. It's not something that gets as much press a lot of times because it's a comprehensive process and not a individual project related. Hopili is an individual project, so that kind of issue draws a lot of attention. But this kind of mapping of a class of land and future potential of protecting those lands is much broader than any single project. And so, yeah, the input that you folks have on the work that's been done up to now is very important for us as we finalize the mapping. And I know Scott is going to go through what happens after this process of where it goes to the council and to the land use commission, so that you understand how this fits into the overall structure of land use policy and agriculture in the state of Hawaii, or at least for Oahu. And so again, I thank you all for coming, and hope we have a very productive meeting.
George, thank you very much. Also, Scott, I want to ask you if you would introduce your team and the others who are here from the city, just so you know who's in the room.
But before I do that, I have somebody left their cell phone over on the table. So
Let me see, like mine.
is it?
No. That's a nice one. Anybody lose one?
Sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm sure you didn't want to go home without that.
If you found any money, it's mine.
Okay, so the people we have in the room tonight that are working on the project, George introduced himself from the Department of Planning and Permitting. Also from the Department of Planning and Permitting is Kathy Sokugawa. Kathy's the division head for the group that is managing this project. Tim Hata. Tim, where are you? Tim's standing over there by the boards. Tim's the project manager at the Department of Planning and Permitting. With me tonight is Corey Orr. And, okay, I'll get Curtis. Curtis Lamb from the Department of Planning and Permitting. Raise your hand, Curtis. Thank you. With me from my office, I'm a principal in the planning firm of HHF Planners. We're in Honolulu. We've been in business in Honolulu since 1980. I've been with the firm since 1989, and I was previously working for government before that.
Explain what HHF stands for?
HHF stands for Helper, Pastor, and Fee Planners. We changed our name in the last couple of years, and we now just go by HHF. It's easy to remember. Okay. With me tonight is Corey Orr. Corey is my project manager working on this. I also have Rob James. Rob James is our Geographic Information Systems, otherwise known as GIS mapping. Rob has been primarily responsible for all of the data and mapping the data. And I have Dr. Lai, who is the city agricultural liaison under the mayor's office. He's been working with us throughout this project. You know, Peter Adler, our facilitator. Bruce Plash, who's an agricultural economist. And I have some other folks here.
Did you get your name? You did.
Joe Camarello, who's been helping, and I don't know where Kara and Aaron are, but we've got a large group from my office assisting with putting all this together. And again, we're also very appreciative that you're here. And
go back to you. So, okay, just a couple more things. In a few minutes, I'm going to just open it up for you to make your comments briefly. And when you do that, there's a couple of ground rules. So let me see if I got it up there. Okay. So we've got a couple house rules that we'd like to try to use. And some of you were at the other meetings, you know these rules already. One is to give everybody else who wants to a chance to talk at least once before you talk twice, or 3 times, or 4 times. Okay? So we want to get around, and I will try to get around to as many as want to speak. Second is I'm going to ask you to keep it short and like to a minute. But as you do that, introduce yourself. Tell us, we told you who we are, you tell us who you are, unless you want to be anonymous or something like that. One person talks at a time. We're not going to debate these issues. We're not going to argue with you. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to capture it in a summary. And so it's please one at a time. And if people have different opinions, I don't know if there are any different opinions in the room. But if there are, we want to respect those and really ask for your best courtesies. I despair when we have really bad meetings where people don't learn anything. They don't have a chance to say their say. They don't have a chance to hear others who might have a different view. And that's why I'm here. My commitment is to try and make the meeting really work well. So, what I'd like to do, County, am I right? We agreed that you take at least the first half hour or so. And we know that many of you are here and you want to make a statement, and the floor is open. Please introduce yourself and keep it to a minute if you can. I'll try to help you with that. Who wants to start? County.
Okay. I want to say in the first place that you're going to hear tonight that we aren't allowed to consider Hopili in this plan. And I want to tell you exactly why that is false. Okay. In the Constitution of the state, it says that the county, we need to decide on what are important agricultural lands, and we'll set those aside as agricultural lands forever. Okay, now most of us realize that Hopili is the most important agricultural land we have in the state. It's the best land we have in the state. It's got the most sunshine. It's got everything going for it. And it should be listed there. As time went on, the legislature was really slow in trying to set up how this was going to be done. But eventually, they did in 2005 come up with a law, okay? And this is what the law said. Each county shall identify and map potential important agricultural lands within its jurisdiction based on the standards and criteria in section 205D. And the intent of this part, except lands, so we're going to get all the lands, so we can consider all the lands, except lands that have been designated through the state use, zoning, or county planning process for urban use by the state or county. Well, that's the law, okay? And so what they're saying is, we aren't going to consider Hopili because it is within our urban growth boundary. It is being considered, it's going to be, we're ready to zone it. This is urban land, we've got it set for urban land. Well, we all know that's true. No, it's not true, okay? Why isn't it true? Because in 2012, the city council changed things. They made a resolution, which is resolution 1223, and they directed the Department of Planning and Permitting specifically. I mean, we talked this all over there. They came, Kathy was there, and she was fighting us, and everybody was fighting us, and finally the city council came down and said, nope, we want you in your planning to include lands that are agricultural, prime agricultural lands with water that are inside of the urban growth boundary. We want you to do that. And this is what they said. Be it further resolved that the process of identification and mapping important agricultural lands also consider agriculturally productive lands within urban growth boundaries that are classified as prime agricultural lands, provided adequate water is available. All those things apply to Hopili. Now, why aren't they considering this? Because they go back to this law and say, we've already designated. That's not what the law says. If we go back and read the law again, what it says is, except for lands that have been designated through state land use, zoning, or county planning process. And they're going to say, well, we did it in the county planning process. It's on the maps. That's the county. All right, I tell you, the city council is the one who makes the laws. The city council makes the laws for the city. And the city council made a law. It's not a law, but it's a resolution. And they're saying, we want you to go to your urban growth boundary no matter what, and we want these lands done. Okay. All right. I've got more to say than anybody else here. So just
I'll give you a little bit of,
okay.
but I want to let other people.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you ceding all your time to him?
Yeah.
Okay,
Fine.
great.
Yeah, go Kiwi.
Hey, Tammy, please go ahead and
All
finish.
right. So what I'm basically saying then is this. When they made this resolution, they were making the law for, they were making a planning law. They're saying, we want you to include that in this, and that's the planning law for right now. They're the guys who make the law, you know? It's not these guys who make the law, it's the city council that makes the law. And they are absolutely wrong to not include Hopili in the important agricultural lands process. Okay. I just want that to be really, really clear tonight, okay? When they made this resolution, that became the law. That became the planning. They're the planners. They are the ones who decide this is the plan. And so that became the plan. And they need to do that. I just want to say also that another reason this is so important is it's the lowland farms where there's sunshine. We've got lowland farms all over the island, but not where there's sunshine. Okay? This is land that is special land. And in all their criteria you're going to hear tonight, the one criterion they're not using is, oh, we forgot to put in, we need to save lands where there's sunshine. Guys, 50 years from now, when people are starving here because the breadbasket in California is all dried up, we're going to need this land, we're going to need the sunny lands, and we're going to need those crops that grow there, and they are not given to us. Okay. I just want to say before I leave, tomorrow, by the way, I want to thank you all for coming. Tomorrow there is a hearing at the City Council. Our time will come up maybe 11 o'clock, maybe even in the afternoon, but it's at the City Hall. It's on Bill 3, which is the approval of Hopili for zoning. And if anybody can make it, please come on down. Plan to spend the day though, because we don't know where we're going to be on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
We don't need to boo, we don't need to do, we want to have a discussion here. That's part of it. And you're going to hear some alternative interpretations of that when Scott gives his briefing later. Who else would like to speak? Briefly.
Yes, very briefly.
Promise?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 1 minute.
Yeah.
Folks, just want to bring you, is that all of you have so much expertise, whether it's traffic mitigation or farm mitigation, all this stuff. But there's something that's been important that has been overlooked. And then if we think about the Red Lima, this so-called weed that emerged from nowhere, it was extinct. And it came back to life on this land. Name something in your lifetime known to be extinct that's come back to life. One place on the planet has that. So with the Red Lima comes the endangered moth, the endangered butterfly, the wasp, all the way up to the quail, possibly the Hawaiian hawk. If you want wildlife and so-called the voiceless to have a voice, then Hopili is far beyond our bellies. But all those who can't come here tonight and speak are begging you to have DLNR or any other entity quantify and do due diligence, because out of the Red Lima that came back to life, we've poured $20 million, gave it 18 acres and 3 outcroppings. Federal law. There has been no examination for Hale. Accordingly, the Planning Use Commission and thereof has said there's nothing of value there. Nothing of value where life came from death. So when you think about that, where else does life come from death? That ain't anywhere on this criteria. That's probably number 1.
Thanks. Okay, yes. And we can start by introducing yourself if you
Do I have to come up there?
You don't have to, you can stay right where you are.
Hey, y'all. Joyce. I'll make this real simple because your words set to confuse. Okay? And anywhere you can grow food on this island, you need to grow food on it. Because you're an island and you need to be sustainable. And on top of that, you need to stop with the prefab sprawl, because every town looks the same. Get creative, where's the art?
Thank you. Who else would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is John Bond. I want to let you know that our group, Hale Cultural Hui, which involves the history and culture of the area, has written a lot of testimony on this. We've done a great deal of research, And I'll tell you right now, having talked to attorneys and people in the state government who unfortunately will not tell you their names, they will all tell you this whole process is unconstitutional. You're violating the Hawaii state constitution. It's illegal. It's in the Hawaii State Convention that was passed in 1978 said that important ag lands must be mapped. But let me just try to cut more into the details here. This really does piss me off. I've talked to council members around the door, everything. This whole project is all being done as a checkbox to run the rail through. It goes back to 2008 when Parsons Brinkerhoff determined on Federal Ag Land Policy Act that the land out here was not important agricultural land so that they could expedite the rail through here. And then that has been documented, well documented, it's in here. I'm giving it to the media. After that, that's what got this whole project started. This whole Hopili thing is a transitory development. And what they're doing this checkbox meeting for, which is purely an unconstitutional thing, but it's got lots of nice charts and graphs, and they're going to give you all this stuff about why they can't do this and that, because it's against the law. I'll tell you, I've talked to all the experts. It is not against the law. And there's a way for this. What should be done is this should be mapped on important agricultural land, and in the Land Use Commission, there's a way to unmap it. And that's what should happen here. Legally, this land should be mapped, IAL, as it is, and then Horton applies through the Land Use Commission to unmap the land. That is the constitutional process, and I can show you every single statute in the entire process when Laura Thielen was hired by the city to map this land, and she said, this is easy. I can do this right away, because it's real simple. The maps are already there, the Alish maps the state has, and the LSB maps clearly show this is all important agricultural land. It's shown in all the general plans as such, as ag land, all the way through up to the present, it's ag land. So you guys are doing this great dog and pony show, and you're all nice people, I've talked to a number of you, but you are putting on the lie here. This whole thing is a big lie, unconstitutional, and I hope we find some attorneys somewhere that will take this to court, because this is going to court already through Sierra Club and Coal Ridge, because they have already said they're suing over that same reason. You can't take land like this and do an unconstitutional act. And you're employees of the city, but this is a political process. It's not a scientific legal process.
Thank you very much. Well, who else wants to speak? Let me just stand on. Sometimes my peripheral vision doesn't work so good.
You go over here.
Ah, is that how you guys want to do this? Want to do it queuing up?
Yeah.
Come on over.
Queue up.
Go ahead. Again, let me urge you to be brief because a lot of people want to talk.
Aloha, my name is Kevin Smith, my neighborhood board in Bridge, Makaha. And, I really do appreciate the comments about the state constitution and resolutions and stuff. I think it really helps our cause. But I think there's something even greater that needs to be recognized here above all these laws, and that's what's truly pony. Okay? What's the right thing to do based on the soil conditions, based on food security, based on health, And there is a nation of people that are still here, that have been here for over 1,000 years, that were never conquered, that were never overthrown. And before you decide what to do, you need to listen to those people.
Thank you. And thank you for going right to the heart of it and being brief. Thank you for that.
I'm John Henry Martin, and I'm from Waianae. We talk about the land being sacred. We talk about the Aina. The land is what feeds us. There was a time when we did not have to bring in most of our food from somewhere else. That is the true sacrilege. And the more they keep building houses, I'm sorry, farewell for you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Aloha. I'm Chanel Pellegrini. Lived here pretty much my whole life. And my prime goal in my life is to feed all of you. How am I supposed to do that? And I can't even feed the people on the beaches, and I can't even feed my family. We need this land.
Yes. Good morning. So, who's in charge here?
Me.
You're in charge?
Yes, I'm in charge of moderating the meeting.
No, I'm
You
not.
guys are
No,
not,
from the-
right? Sorry.
No, from the city.
They just got introduced.
Well, who's the main guy?
George, the head of the
Okay,
department.
George. Okay. Your job is to let us know, let the city know where the prime ag land is. Is that your job? Is that what this is all about?
Well, it's to map IAL according to HRS 205.
Okay, to let them know where the prime ag land is, where the ag land's right. Is that what you're saying?
Guided by that
It's
statute.
to
is what it
map
said.
it, yeah.
Okay. And you know that this is prime ag land, is that correct?
I know that it is good soil, and in various classifications, it has been, when you say, the reason I'm hesitating to answer that is prime ag land is depending on what criteria you use, it has different definitions, and so if it's good ag land, you want to call it prime ag land, I know it's good ag land.
You know it's good ag land?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And are you going to give that information to the city council?
We're going to capture that information.
No, I'm asking him.
Yeah.
I'm talking to him.
Make your
He's
statement.
answering.
Go ahead and make your
everybody.
statement if you have a statement to
No,
make.
I want his information. I'm making a statement.
I'd like to know that the answer to this.
Yeah, so you're going to let, because the city councils supposedly, unless they're lying, have not decided about whether or not they're going to do Hopili or not, and they're going to change and they need information to know, is this good ag land or not, before they decide to make it all development, because they're going to make some of it as ag land, right? They're going to keep some.
200 acres.
So isn't it then your job to give them all the information they need to make their decision?
I think the question of whether Hopili is good ag land, I don't think it is a question. I think everybody agrees it is good ag land. I don't know that the city council needs to be told that they know it's good ag land. I know it's good ag land.
But you're the guy who's supposed to tell them where the good ag land's at, so it's important for, even if you do it through a memo, or, if you don't have to do it through, before you guys make your decision, you should know that I know that this is good ag land. That's my job.
Is that your comment?
I'm asking him.
No, he's answered it now.
Is that?
So he's answered your
So are you
question.
going to do that?
I've already told them that this is good ag land. I have not said it's junk land. I have not lied or tried to say it's not good ag land.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I just want to make sure that, because it's obviously purposely being taken out and not being considered as
Yes,
good
it
ag
is.
land. And there's many reasons why that's not right. But at least if you're being an honest man and you're telling the city council that, look, this is good ag land, and if you're trying to make a decision about whether or not you're going to make this into development or ag land, you should know that this is good ag land.
Yeah.
And you've done it. Thank you so much.
I didn't see the key here.
The Kapolei Kapolei, my name is Ken Ike. I'm a small farmer out in Waianae. First and foremost, I want to thank you and the people who put this on, because we do need to designate our important ag lands, and I really appreciate the process finally coming forth. You guys all know that the state constitution had mandated it back in the 70s. And I really appreciate you folks finally acting upon it. But I think you also understand why some of the people have come. Because it's taken so long, we know why in the 70s, why it was put into the Constitution. You guys remember the development that was going on, Chinko guys. Yeah, it was popping up all over the place. Hawaii Kai, they wanted to put a hotel. They wanted to put a hotel up North Shore, all over the place, right? And the Hawaiian voice came out back then and said, wait. Can we just preserve what we already get? And they felt like, all Kapolei used to be lo'i before. Waikiki, why they gotta put so much pilings inside to put up hotels? Because hotels not supposed to be built over there, right? It was all ag land. Right? So, we know back in the '70s that before anything else was supposed to be zoned urban, that the important areas were supposed to be designated. And then we can plan our urban development around it, so that we wouldn't have this conflict going on right now. Huh? And we all know too, growing up, that if you're going to have one new girlfriend, and you never take care of your relationship with your old girlfriend, chances are, bruh, this relationship not gonna turn out so hot, right?
You're on your own on that, Ken. You're on your own on that.
Right? We all know that you gotta take care of the old baggage before you start in the relationship, right? Otherwise, you're gonna get pretty kid, you're gonna get problems, bro. That's your fault, right? So that's all we asking. Yeah? Get one old issue that we gotta kind of take care of before anything moves forward, and before we go forward with Hopili and all this kind of stuff. Because no need any more money being used for lawsuits, for child labor. Again, if the DPP acknowledged, yeah, that we should have designated this as important area, yeah, everybody here would forgive that mistake. Okay, that's cool. You guys, if you can make them important now, yeah, it would be all over. We take care of the old stuff. We can move forward. You would have all the support of the people here. Oh, thank you.
Who else is lining up here? Yeah. Yes.
If you could,
Turn your camera.
Brother,
Yeah.
thank you for all what you said. All you guys, prime egg land. Brother, you know, yeah. Bottom line, hey, stop this thing. Stop and feed the people. My people been here a long time. We eat what we grow. We gotta take care of them. If we keep building, the more land will grow. What we do, eat one another. No, yeah? I don't know what you guys plan. You guys planning. Yeah? That's what happened in New Zealand. People, you know? So think. Grow food, not house. You like grow house, you grow down Waikiki. You grow up. Enough. It's sacred, our food. We want to stay here the rest of our life, and my children, before, after me, want to be here. You take their food, we all die. So malama aina. On our care, all.
I appreciate the courtesies everybody's showing. I know that's hard, and you feel very impassioned, and I get the same way in my life too. Who else would like to speak?
right here.
Yes.
Aloha, everybody. My name is Jack DeFeo. I'm a proud resident of Makaha. I love where I live. It's a part of Hawaii that very few people know exists. It's a beautiful place. But I'm here to give you all a reality check. But first, thank you for showing up. Half the battle with all of this that's happening, showing up, half the battle. But here's the reality check. Everything we've said has fallen on deaf ears. Okay? The decisions have been made. It's a done deal. They're already depositing funds in every financial institution you can think of. So here's the thing. We, as has been said, the battle isn't over yet. They're going to go ahead and put profits ahead of people. Now that, in the long run, is a recipe for disaster. Our political leadership has turned their backs on the people who they are there to represent. It is no longer the will of the people be done. Today, it has turned, unfortunately, into the will of the corporation. That's what our political system has turned into, a corporation. And their bottom line is everything. We don't matter. And when it comes to the sacred land of Hopili, those of us who are here know that it truly is sacred. It is the only piece of land that can turn 4 crops in a year. That's what makes it so unique. And they are going to rip it up. What has taken thousands of years of nature to create. These greedy corporations who have no heart and no soul, who are addicted to our money that they love to spend, are going to go ahead and create a future that you don't want any of your kids to live back then. Years ago, everybody here knows that we imported only about 50% of our food. Today, the shocking fact is that we need to import over 90% of our food. In any situation, if you're right thinking, and if your heart is in alignment with your brain, you must know that when you import 90% of your food, in this uncertain world that we live in, with all of the bad news, very little news that we get is about good news. It's about turmoil, it's about conflict, it's about shortages, and it's about our money not being worth anything anymore. So how can you possibly plan accordingly for the needs of the people? This is our future, and the future of our children. That's the bottom line to this. So you've got to tell the powers that be, stop right here, back up, rethink, and give us our land back.
And again, I'm going to ask you to please be brief because other people want to speak, and we also want to get your feedback on some other things.
I want to say that the land that they're considering, my name is Pat Beekman, and the land that they're considering paving over and putting houses on is a gift of nature and God to us. As Jack said, it's taken thousands of years to develop it. Once those houses are put on the land, we're not going to get that prime agricultural land back. I asked a University of Hawaii professor about the land. His specialty was soil quality, and he said that's the best land in the nation that we have here. He said that's why these big corporations come here to Hawaii and they're willing to pay top dollar for the land that we have here because it has lots of sunshine, it has good quality water, and you get 4 crops a year. You can't do that on the mainland. And yet, our politicians are going to just throw it away and put houses on it. And who are these houses going to go to? I talked to a developer, this is quite a while back, and he said the local people can't afford houses anymore. They're going to go to people from out of Hawaii. That's not taking care of the people and of the island. Further, with all these houses, these thousands of houses that are going to be put out here for the project, we already have gridlock on our highways. It's horrible. It's, we get reports saying that it's the worst traffic jam in the entire country. And we're going to have double the traffic or more, even with rail. They keep saying rail is going to solve the problem. Both sides know that rail is not going to alleviate the traffic much. And I walk a lot since I take the bus, and I see these drivers just stopped on the road. You should see the looks on their faces. They look miserable, and it's just going to get worse.
Hi, I'm Joshua Momoto, resident of Waianae. It seems like we're not just importing our food, we're importing people. We're also building houses to import those people. And the people that we're importing are not just gonna support the locals, because who's gonna support the locals? And so by redesignating this land and just paving over it, you're just adding more problems to what's already here. And what we're trying not to do is add more problems. We're trying to solve problems. And everyone's opinion here is important. And what I'd like to know is who's actually going to listen to our opinions and make it count. Because it's supposed to be the counties that designate the lands for zoning. So who's in charge of that designation of zoning? That's what I want to know. And also, would they even listen to us? And most of the time, I highly doubt they will, but who will listen? And it's up to us as the people to try to sway other people so that we can have someone that will actually support us as who we are, as our opinion, and listen. Yeah.
Thank you, Josh. Anyway, you want to let others who want to haven't spoken yet, who want to speak, anybody? County?
No, I know that we have a lot of farmers here tonight, and you know, the word is, we don't have anybody interested in farming anymore. Could we see how many people in here are farmers? Would raise your hands.
Good, lots.
President of Hale Community Garden.
Young people too, young farmers.
Good. Plenty. Thank you.
I have a second bite at the apple for 10 seconds too, after
Yep.
everyone's done.
You agree? No, wait, let her go first, then we'll come back and talk.
Hello everyone, I'm Jenny Uphoff, and 3 years ago I graduated from the University of California, Berkeley with a degree in public health. And after 4 years of studying the health disparities in our country, I have realized that the majority of it is our connection with food, right? All of it stemming from connection with food. And so here I am today in Hawaii working at Kakamana Organic Farm. And because I realized that if I want to affect change, if I want to really help our country, our people be healthier, live longer lives of more vibrancy, and actually be alive, I need to actually get my hands in the dirt and do what we all need to do. I think every single one of us needs to get our hands in the dirt and feel the land, because that's what we need. That's where we need to heal. That's where we need to grow. And how can we do that if we don't have the land?
Thank you. Yes.
Let me go before Tom.
Sure.
Real quick, I just want to say that I came here because I wanted to witness, and I wanted all you also to witness the hypocrisy of today's meeting, in that the sign up there says identify high-quality farmlands. And yet we know that they have no intent to do that if they're going to skip the most prime land within central Oahu. So it's a hypocrisy and it's a farce. And unfortunately, the staff here is going to go back to the mayor and say, we went to all the communities and we got all this feedback from the people, and they stuck pins in the little maps and they helped us identify all the important farmlands. The people were part of the process. And they're all going to feel good about that and be able to sleep at night, but it's all a lie. Because if they wanted our opinion, then this would be in play, Hopili would be in play and would be identified as high-quality farmlands. Now, since they didn't listen to any of that, or at least when they did, they said, we don't have to do what this guy's saying because we've already made the decision. So disregard that. The most important thing you can do is attend the committee meeting tomorrow, Bill 3, and also this Bill 3 goes to full council on May 6th, if I'm right. So tomorrow and May 6th, talk to your city councilman, which most of yours is Kimberly Pine, who probably won't listen to you, but you need to bother her on the telephone, and you need to go up to her in person and say, this is important to me. Thank you for your time.
10 seconds, right?
Just want to let everyone know that if we're a lawsuit, I'm a direct witness, and as a city councilman with participating with Dr. Dudley, the resolution 12-23 of being a unanimous vote only took place because at the time, the DPP director agreed and is on tape. The DPP director before you had stated that will be mapped. And then the ag liaison before the gentleman who's the ag liaison today also said, that Laura Thielen, again, Mr. Botnick brought it up, it's also on tape. Could have been done within 1 year. And the Oahu General Plan, when asked about Bill 50, remember 2011 in this room, Bill 50 on the purple spot in Waianae? You guys remember that? It was in this room. I asked personally, DPP director, when will the Oahu General Plan be completed? They said in 1 year. Ernie Martin's trying to delay this thing so he doesn't have to put the landfill in his district. So the big roost is going, I had to get this on camera to let everybody know that. So the DPP director before you, night and day, you guys don't boil water, something's wrong.
So, let me say a couple of things, and then what I'd like to do is ask you a question. So, this project has been a resource inventory of the whole island, trying to understand what are the agricultural resources we have across the whole island, and to try to develop criteria for understanding, I'm going to use my words, for good, better, best, worst. In other words, what are the lands that when we look out 100 years, or 75 years, or 7 generations, or however far we can see, what are the ones that we want to try to hold in perpetuity for as long, sorry, I'm not supposed to use the word perpetuity. How long can, when we look out, how can we hold these lands for the longest period and preserve those for the use for agriculture? We don't know exactly what agriculture will look like 100 years from now, or because it's a changing thing. Some of it stays the same, some is not. So, this resource inventory is what we would like to talk with you about in the criteria and give a briefing to you and then ask you some questions so we can get some feedback on it. We've heard what you have to say about Hopili. I know there's more, and there's other things that you may want to say. But we would like to use the part of this meeting going forward now to talk about the whole island, not just Hopili, and give you that background of how this came to be. And then you can decide whether it's baloney or not baloney or good or not. Can I finish?
Yep.
Thanks. So that's what we'd like to do. And then we will ask you a series of questions that will help us and help further this planning effort, because it's about the whole island. It's not just about Hopili. So can you hold your question till a little later? Because I'd like to let you do the briefing.
I need a clarification for something you said.
Okay.
You said you're looking at all of the land.
We're looking at all the ag lands on the island.
Okay, but when you look at the map, it says everything outside the urban growth boundary, not state lands and not federal lands.
So that's what we're about to try to explain and talk about.
So you're not looking at all the lands, you're looking at
How about we let Scott do the briefing so we can tell you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
Well done.
Let me ask you this. Some of you may not want to listen to all this stuff. And I would encourage, if you don't want to listen to this, then you don't have to stay here. I mean, I'd like to hear more about Hopili, but I also want to get the other part of this meeting done. So, and we need that. We need your feedback on the other pieces of this. So, again, if you're interested, I encourage you to stick around. You'll hear the briefing, then I've got some questions for you.
Let me say something in support of you, okay? We kind of agreed before this started that we would follow the plan and that we would get our chance to talk, and then they would get their chance to explain to us. And as farmers, I think we need to know what really is going on as far as the whole island is concerned. So I think what they've got to say to us tonight is really something we need to know. And so I'd encourage you to stick around. And when they're finished, they're going to ask us for our feelings about this thing, that thing, and the other thing. I mean, you know, throw in the thought about Hopili at that time, but it's worth our time to stay and to see what's going on.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Scott, there was a gentleman over there.